Good morning, fellas, and welcome back to Me Plays Games, the show that doesn't have a four-leaf clover hidden in every video. My name is Matt, and when it comes to which Mario Kart game has the most shortcuts and glitches, two games in particular are usually in the discussion. Mario Kart Wii, which we've covered in a few videos on the show before, and Mario Kart 64, the topic for today's video. Today, we'll be looking at the techniques and shortcuts used in the time trial world records, and oh boy, there's a ton of insane stuff going on in this game. For more speedrunning content, subscribe to Me Plays Games and share this video with a friend or two. You can also hang out with us on our Discord server, link in the description. You can also find a link to this game's Discord. The fellas over there helped me a ton with this video, so shoutouts to them. Alright, let's get started. On each track in the game, you can run one of a few different categories. There are 16 tracks, 12 of which have shortcut categories. Keep in mind that non-shortcut categories, which are available on every track, still let you do stuff like cut through off-road with mushrooms and whatnot. For the purpose of record keeping, shortcuts are just the major stuff that we'll be getting into shortly. So just cutting through a patch of grass or sand isn't considered a shortcut, for example. You can also go for either 3 lap times where you complete a full race, or flap times, flap being short for fast lap, where you just do 1 lap using as many of your 3 mushrooms as you need. For today, we'll be covering the shortcut records, and in a future video, we'll look at the non-shortcut ones. Also, if you go look at the world records, you'll notice that they all have 2 times listed. That's because I said so. That's because Mario Kart 64 has 2 versions, NTSC and PAL. The NTSC version runs at 60 frames per second, while PAL runs at 50. The NTSC version of the game runs about 20% faster as a result, so when times are submitted, players will enter the time they got as well as the version they played on. That way, the time can be converted to the other version of the game, and NTSC and PAL races can be compared fairly on one unified leaderboard. For this video, I'll be using the faster NTSC times, but you can get a rough idea of the PAL equivalents by multiplying those times by 1.2. If a time you see in this video doesn't match up with what I say, that means they're playing on PAL. Let's start with Luigi Raceway, where the world record is 40 milliseconds. Yup, the very first track of the game, and it's already being torn to shreds. Abney317 holds this flap record, as well as 19 more we'll be covering today. So what's going on here? This is a recently discovered shortcut called half clip. Because of the way this track is shaped, if you throw yourself at this wall fast enough, you trick the game to thinking you're halfway through the lap. Then it pushes you back out within a few frames. Abney also holds the shortcut 3-lap record at 14.37 seconds, where he does the clip 3 times. The next 2 tracks are Moo Moo Farm and Koopa Troopa Beach, 2 of the 4 tracks that don't have major time trial shortcuts, so we'll skip these tracks for now and discuss them another time. Let's move on to Calamari Desert, where the world record flap is 22.12 seconds by Dossie. He does this technique called fence clip, where you position yourself perfectly and use a mushroom so the game pushes you straight through the fence. This is incredibly precise for 2 reasons. For 1, you have to land exactly in the middle of the fence, and for 2, mushrooms don't boost your speed by that much. God, when was the last time I used the phrase "for 2" like that? That felt wrong. Anyway, here's an analogy Carl Jobst used once to describe what makes the shortcut so difficult. In Super Mario 64, the backwards long jump lets you go through walls, because the game lets you build up infinite backward speed, so at some point you'll be going fast enough to be in front of a wall on one frame and all the way behind it on the next. But in Mario Kart 64, mushrooms only let you go about 30% faster than your normal top speed. So there aren't really many options to go that much faster than normal, but it's still possible, albeit exceedingly unlikely to get the fence clip. The odds of getting it are around 1 in 90,000. Dossie also got the 3-lap record in the same run, at 1 minute 36.27 seconds. Next up is Toad's Turnpike. Remember a few tracks ago where you can slam into a wall and that counts as a lap? Yeah, that was fun, let's do it again. The flap record is a tie between El QWERTY and Abney at 0.4 seconds. The 3-lap record also belongs to Abney at 25 seconds flat. These shortcuts only work on the Japanese version 1.0 of Mario Kart 64 because of differences in how respawns work. You know, wouldn't it be great if the loudest plane in the universe wasn't flying over my house right now? On an FAQ page Abney made about this shortcut, he says that in the original Japanese version of the game, Lakitu places you back on the track where you last were instead of where you landed like in the later releases. The grass on the side isn't mapped to any specific part of the track, and since Toad's Turnpike is sort of a figure 8 shape, we can use this information to trick the game to thinking we're halfway through the lap by jumping over the wall, then landing in the grass where the track crosses over itself and falling out of bounds. Once that's done, throwing yourself into this wall is more or less the same idea as the Luigi Raceway lap. This shortcut takes advantage of the Lakitu effect, which is basically the idea that if Lakitu picks you up after falling out of bounds, there will be a short cooldown where he can't pick you up again, allowing you to fall further than normal. Frappe Snowland is one of the most infamous tracks in the game. Summoning Salt already made a video about it, but the strategy is slightly different now. The shortcut flap record is an 8-way tie between Abney, Jonesy, Christian C, Chris Rayola, L Qwerty, Martin K, VAJ, and Glass at 4.34 seconds. Basically, if you complete a lap, then immediately start going backwards in a specific part of the off-road, you'll fly out of bounds and Lakitu will pick you up and put you by the finish line. Except the game didn't subtract a lap from your counter when you went backwards over the finish line, so it thinks you've already driven around the track and you can finish another lap in under 5 seconds. Abney and VAJ also hold the 3-lap record at 19.6 seconds. They both do lap 1 by driving off to go out of bounds on the left, then going off to the right like the flap on laps 2 and 3. Choco Mountain is another infamous track you can destroy in a matter of seconds with a shortcut called the Weather Tenko, discovered by tool-assisted speedrunner Weatherton. Once again, by clipping into a specific part of the wall, the game thinks you're further ahead in the lap than you actually are. Then you can land behind the finish line and drive forwards to complete the lap. Abney has the flap record at 2.96 seconds and the 3-lap record at 14.38. Once again, this is another track Summoning Salt covered in detail on his show, so I'll be linking that and every other video I mention in the description. On Mario Raceway, there's a shortcut where you do what's known as an open corner clip. Basically, walls in this game don't have hitboxes extending out to the side, so if you drive fast enough into a corner where two walls meet at a wide enough angle, you can be on one side on one frame and the other side on the next, since there's a small gap between the wall's hitboxes. In order to get the open corner clip on Mario Raceway, you need to position yourself just right, drive into this corner while boosting with a mushroom, and hop to avoid going out of bounds. The duller the angle, the less speed you need to get through. So clipping through this 135-degree corner is just barely possible with a mushroom. See, we don't just slam into walls in this game, we also just ignore them entirely when it suits our needs. Abney holds the flap record at 10.2 seconds as well as the 3-lap record of 48.64 seconds. For 3-lap, he does the clip on lap 1, then a different shortcut where he jumps over this wall to cut off most of the middle of laps 2 and 3. For more info on how corners work, check out this video by Bismuth, link in the description. Wario Stadium's no shortcut 3-lap record is 3 minutes 36 seconds. Why am I telling you this in a video about shortcut records? To give you an idea of how fast the shortcut 3-lap record of 12.08 seconds is. This one belongs to VAJ, and he does this shortcut where he jumps over this wall twice per lap, once to get down to a later part of the track, and then again to get back up right behind the finish line. These jumps are frame perfect, and unfortunately, it is possible to get what's known as a 0 frame here, where you're positioned in such a way that there are no frames where the jump is possible. The flap record is 2.25 seconds and it belongs to Jonesy. Welcome to Sherbet Land, where you can just fall off the track then drive in a circle to complete the lap. Isn't it wonderful? Abney, iMath, and Martin K are all tied with a 1.74 second flap time. The 3-lap record is 1 minute 16.22 seconds by Abney, and once again it takes advantage of the Lakitu effect. Abney drives backwards off the track near where this penguin is, then with the Lakitu effect active, he boosts into this penguin with a mushroom to get it to push him out of bounds. He's able to fall further than normal before getting picked up, then he can jump into this wall by the finish line and turn around to complete the lap. In Royal Raceway, you can do a respawn glitch where you throw yourself at this specific part of the dirt here, then when Lakitu places you by the ramp, you can drive off to the left to go out of bounds again. Whenever he doesn't know where to drop you, he'll put you by the finish line, which is the default respawn point in this game. Abney holds both records on this track with a 30.89 second flap and 1 minute 39.38 second 3-lap. Next up is Bowser's Castle, another track with no major shortcuts in this game, but an ultra shortcut was recently discovered and pulled off here in the Mario Kart Wii version of the track. So check out the video with me and Dash talking about that game, link in the description. Moving along, we've got DKs Jungle Parkway. Like on Toad's Turnpike and Luigi Raceway, there's a section of the track that's pretty much directly below the finish line, so by clipping into this wall just right, you can trick the game into thinking you drove a lap when you really just flopped around in a cave. Abney holds the flap and 3-lap records on this track too, with times of 3.09 and 17.76 seconds respectively. Yoshi Valley is the track with the longest standing world record in the game. Miles has held the flap record since 2013, and it's only been tied since then, but not beaten. In the last 8 years, Jonesy, VAJ, Abney, Martin K, and Frankie have all matched Miles' time of 5.75 seconds. Basically, by throwing yourself at this part of the cliffside near the beginning of the track, Lakitu will give you credit for a lap you didn't really drive. You can do this on every lap, allowing Abney and VAJ to get the 3-lap record of 27.73 seconds. Next up is Banshee Boardwalk. Psych, no shortcuts here. Next. Alright, time for the last track of the game, Rainbow Road. This track has had all sorts of shortcuts over the years, including some that are exclusive to the Grand Prix and Versus modes, since they require CPUs or items that are unavailable in time trials. But for today, we're looking at the time trial record, and the best flap time belongs to Christian C and Abney at 13.33 seconds. By using a mushroom behind the finish line and driving off to the left, you'll fly out of bounds and Lakitu can drop you right by the finish line again, letting you complete a lap just like that. Abney does the same skip 3 times for the 3-lap record of 41.9 seconds. Welp, there it is. That's all the shortcut world records in Mario Kart 64. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video and share it with a friend. We're trying to get into the YouTube Partner Program by the end of the year. It's a lofty goal, but I think we can do it. Like I mentioned with Rainbow Road, there are some shortcuts that are only possible in regular races because you need items other than mushrooms or the assistance of a CPU. So there's a good chunk of cool stuff I didn't cover today. Leave a comment if you'd like to see me go over those. Alright, good night fellas, sleep well.